What's up, people? It's your man on the outside looking in. Here to do a review slash discussion, I guess, or I guess a follow up to my Hibike Euphonium best of anime video, I guess. Uh, Pretty much, I'm talking about Hibike Euphonium season 2. Now, a disclaimer to anybody who's if this is your first video for me that you're watching. Usually, when I do a video, I'm either reading off of a script that I wrote, or I have a list of bullet points and notes that are detailed to where it can guide me through in the video. And I edit the video, so you edit out a lot of my stutters and my stops and hicks. And I had visual aids on what I was talking about throughout. This is not one of those videos. This is just me sitting in front of my mic talking about the show that I want to get off my chest. So don't take this as a point of contention that all my content is like this. I just got finished doing 2 videos over the uploaded all in the same week that I think are relatively high quality, and now I just want to talk about my favorite show. So yeah. But anyway, Hibike Euphonium season 2, I thought it was great. Wasn't perfect. I saw a comment on Reddit. He was like, what's your unpopular opinion about this season? And I don't know if it was the most popular comment, but it was like, Hibike Euphonium season 2 is a narrative mess. And it had like, I want to say 83 upvotes. But yeah, obviously, not everybody's in love with the season as much as I am. But I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about all that. But first, I'm going to go back to my original Hibike Euphonium video, which is my best of anime. And I broke it down into 3 points what makes the show great. And I'm going to just go back through the 3 points and just see how they equate to season 2. For one, Kimiko is still bae. One of the best female characters. Probably my favorite female character at this point, up there with Morgiana and Maggie from Maggie and Saber from Fate Stay Night. And definitely one of my favorite main characters. Definitely one of my favorite main characters in a while. Up there with Renton Thurston and Edward Elric as far as main characters go. But in this season, a lot of a point of contention is that it's plot convenient. She just falls in the areas and she just figures everything out. Like that's but the story is not about how she affects the plot. With most shows, the point of your main character is to pursue the plot, push the plot forward. Kimiko's not one of those characters. Kimiko, ultimately, to me, Hibike Euphonium is a character study about these girls in high school. That's what is first and foremost. Before the music, before the drama, that's what it is. And Kimiko's a character that is the show uses what I like to call like environmental character development. She's a character that she's changed by the environment around her. So the point of the show is not so she helps out Missouri and Nozumi and she helps Asuka, even though that's what she ultimately did. She's trying to you're seeing her character develop throughout all these inner events and actions. So her stumbling upon Missouri and Nozumi and all these moments, they're just studies on what is she going to do in this particular moment. And that's why I think the show is great. That's why I think her character is great. And she's still realistic throughout the whole show. She never has like heroic moments. Her most, I guess, quote unquote, heroic moment is when she stops. She tries to convince Asuka to stay in the band. And that ultimately is just, something that you feel like her character would naturally come to that conclusion after all the events up to that point. In an amazing episode and just a well-cooked side. Like I said, a very rambly review. Animation in this season just as good as the last season. I remember at the beginning of the season, a lot of people said that this season didn't look as good as the first season. I think you're on crack. You got to remember that this season takes place in the middle of the summer. That's why the colors look brighter, and that the reason why I think a lot of people thought the last season looked better is because they used a lot of I guess bold sepia tone color palettes throughout the first 2 episodes. I got the impression that it looked better, but one of the best looking shows this season, hands down. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. Kimiko, I mean, she's big. I mean, the scene, both of the scenes where, you know, she's talking to Asuka, and all her scenes with Reina, where she's ultimately an observer on this world. And as I said in this video, she's our window. She's our window, and she still is a good character in her own right. And yeah, I think that her character works perfect. Next point is just the whole background detail. In that finale episode just proves my point. If you look at that whole entire sequence, when you know they're playing the solo and they get to the solos, and you know you can see in the detail with Kaori how she's doing the fingerings of the solo going back to season 1, and how you know it goes into Mizori's solo and cuts back to Dozumi and how that affected the situation, and then it goes to Kimiko learning, you know, her solo-esque, even though it's not really a solo, but I think she's the only Euphonium playing at that point. So like that whole sequence was amazing. One of the best parts of the finale episodes, and you know, the scene where they all graduating. I mentioned, you remember the two girls, the first year and third year, that you never see their eyes. One of them wears glasses. One of them has bangs covering her eyes. At the end, you see them. Well, what do you see? You see them saying goodbye, and that's something that you can see in the background in every shot throughout this season, both seasons. Who else? Her sister Mamiko. You know, you find out in the letter that what she wanted to do is be a beautician. And if you look back at the first episode of the second season, you'll see when Kimiko walks into the room, she's got a beauty magazine. So like it's these details that makes the show, and what Keontae did is with both seasons still amazing, and still one of the reasons why I think it's one of the best animes out there. Now the last point about how the characters, how I said like the worst enemies in the show are themselves. They are their worst enemies, and that's one point that I kind of was I wasn't completely convinced about. I was like, this is the point, because as an analysis, I gotta prove my point. And this was one, as I was writing the video, I kind of think I might be talking out of my ass with this one. But ultimately, this season confirmed all my feelings. Like, everything that the characters do is ultimately, an issue with themselves that they have to work out. That there's something about another aspect or something within the band that they have to deal with. Missouri's a good example of that, and a lot of people say Missouri's an unrealistic character. I'm going to talk about that later, but her whole, her issues with Nozumi, getting over her, social issues, and of course, Asuka. I mean, the whole situation, going back to, why she has to leave the band and, with her mother, it's easy to think of her mother as the villain in that situation, but when you think about it, Asuka always had the control of the situation, and all the females around her, how people see her as perfect, how she kind of highlights their imperfections, how the band just loses morale after her, and that moving on to Haruka's character development, all that was amazing. And ultimately the theme of a very big aspect of the show as a whole is to show that when you're growing up, you're not gonna have it figured out. Nobody in high school is perfect. Not even grown-ups are perfect. So that in itself was a very strong aspect of the show, and just everything that between Kimiko's relationship with Asuka, and that final scene where she kind of like admits that she didn't like Asuka. Something that she never flat out said, going back to those details, but you can kind of have those annoyances and her just not admitting ever is up there with I want to talk about the final episode just real quick. A lot of people had a problem that the finale performance wasn't shown, and at first I was kind of disappointed, but then I realized, wait, this makes perfect sense. So ultimately, like what we were expecting them to triumphantly win. And when I realized that the final performance wasn't going to be in the final episode, that's when I kind of knew, like, okay, they're probably not going to win. And you don't see the performance because, we've already seen the performance. We've already seen them there at peak form during the Kansai competition. And then that whole sequence, that was something that we already saw. So going into the next episode, we already know what they can do. This is the band at peak. This is the band at peak condition, and they're following up to show that it's still not enough. They're still not good enough. This is only the beginning, and it sucks that the third year is going to be gone after this. But as the episode shows, they're going to keep building, and going into the third episode, as I stated with that sequence, you see the plaque on the wall of them winning gold at the Kyoto Prefecture competition. And you remember all the way back in the first season, they had it was of them winning the bronze way years back. And then throughout that performance, which was much more of an emotional performance, as I stated before, it shows that this is what they were working on the whole time, that it was about them, and the fact that, despite the fact that they didn't win, they still they've improved all the more despite all that. So that performance in the final episode was much better than having a big finale performance on the stage could have been in that previous episode, and seeing them lose. That carried a lot more weight than what they did. So that was like the obvious choice. So I didn't have a problem with that sequence. And I thought that was amazing. So yeah, but I did have some problems with the show though. And, one of them being, obviously this dude, Shuichi. This dude was like, what was this dude even here? Now, from what I understand in the book, the way that his character is written, that it's clear that, oh snap, I knocked my pop filter over. It's clear that, Kimiko, he is definitely Kimiko's lover. She's like head over heels for him. And, you could already just, by hearing that scene, like, yeah, that's totally generic. And, compared to all the relationships that she has between Reina and Asuka, and, even Haruka and, not Haruka, Hazuki and Midori, she has all these other amazing interactions with people, and Shuichi's just the boring guy. And so Kyoto Eni cut all that out, understandably so, because it's generic. But if you're gonna cut something out, you gotta have him be there for a reason. And he doesn't do anything beyond being the childhood friend. And that, he has a few moments here and there between her and her sister, and that it doesn't. I guess but like, he didn't need to be there. That's not a character. That's just a device, just to show like, hey, he's the guy who knows both Mamiko and Kimiko, so he can relate this information. He's the one guy that she can relay this emotional roller coaster to. But that just wasn't enough for me, and it's kind of like, obviously you had the scene in the last episode with her giving the hairband. Apparently that's when, like, in the book, that's when, apparently that's apparently like when she asked him out the first time, and none of that is there in the show. And you ultimately just, for me, I don't know why this guy was in the show. They could have easily just cut him out. And even what they set up in the first season between her and Hazuki, and like that love triangle, like that went nowhere. That went absolutely nowhere. They didn't touch on that at all. So literally, he could have been cut out this show completely, and I wouldn't have a problem with it. But hey, and another problem I have with the show is episode 11, which was the Reina episode of the season. Just like I think the 11th episode last season was about Reina as well. But the problem with that is, it felt like Kyoto Eni just had to stop and wait. It's like, wait a minute. Reina hasn't had any screen time in a while. We have to do something for Reina in the end. And the only really major issue going on with Reina by this point is her unrequited love for Taki Sensei. Now, I don't have a problem with Reina being in love with Taki Sensei. Like, and yeah, I'll completely admit it. I was totally on the Kimiko Reina bandwagon. I was on the Kimiko Reina ship, and just to diverge for a moment, I I realized that the ship wasn't gonna happen going into season 2 for multiple reasons. One, I was spoiled that she gets with Shuichi. I was spoiled but for 3 things going into the season. One, that she got Kimiko's gonna get with Shuichi. The third novel was based on Asuka, not really a spoiler, in that Natsuki and Yuko become the president and vice president. So those were the 3 things I was spoiling going in. But I was reading an interview with Naoko Yamada and Tetsuya Ishihara explaining that the reason Tetsuya Ishihara brought her in as a series director, which is somewhat of a made-up term, is because she had an understanding of female relationships within a show, and he felt that he needed her to bring that element to the show. And there's been other complaints with Yoko and Yamada shows where they feel like there's female relationships that make for better romances. And I haven't seen any of Yoko and Yamada's other shows. I've just seen Hibike Euphonium. I want to see K-On! I want to see Tamako Yosoi. There's so many animes that I can't watch them all, people. But I started to think, okay, maybe from what we depict as Yuri, maybe this is not what we think it is. See, maybe this is just how females interact with each other in Japan. And we, as Americans, we see that and we just like, okay, yeah, they're gay. And I've seen this with a lot of shows this season, like Flip Flappers. There's a lot of people who take it and, and they think that the whole show is about, oh, yeah, it's about Coconut realizing her, homosexual feelings. Like, guys, come on. Just, not everything is about Yuri. And I think either me or somebody, this is something that somebody needs to research and get to the bottom of, and put out analysis. And maybe it's me. But that's gonna be something that will take a ton of research that I probably don't have the time for, and I probably wouldn't do as well. But hey, somebody needs to look into this so we can get to the bottom of this. And I think anime fans probably should think about this a little bit more before coming to conclusions about certain female relationships. But anyway, major deviation. Back to my issue with the 11th episode is that the only issue that Reina has left is her relationship with Taki Sensei. So I have no problem with her having a crush on him because when I was in high school, there were tons of chicks that were in love with teachers, but it was always from a puppy love sense. And you knew in the back of their heads it was never gonna happen. But when the show started trying to present it as a serious issue, that's when I'm like, okay, you just had this amazing episode between Kimiko and Asuka, and this is like what you're building up to. Because like I was expecting some kind of friction between Kimiko and Reina at some point, because the whole first season was setting up the relationship. There's got to be a bump in the road at some point. What's it gonna be about? And the fact it's about Taki Sensei, and the fact that he had a wife and all this other shit. It was the most generic shit in the whole show. And I've defended the show multiple times on the fact that a lot of people say it's just melodrama, and I've defended it saying no, it's not melodrama. It's just this is how these characters naturally act. I argued that in my last video, but this was a legit moment where this is straight up melodrama. This is stuff that's only here because plot, and we need a Reina moment before the series ends. And ultimately, that was in. It seems like most people agree. Many people agree that particular episode was the most disappointing. And as far as I can tell, based on what I know about the novels, it's almost completely filler. From what I know, the whole Taki Sensei issue doesn't even come back up after the first thing, after the second novel. And like I said, I had no problem with her having a relationship with Taki Sensei. Like I said, I was a Kimiko Reina shipper from the start. I was just convinced. I'm the type of guy, if we're gonna ship something, don't expect it to happen. As long as you know that, then you're good. Go ahead, ship, do whatever you want. But it was like I said, it was when they started taking it seriously as a legitimate dramatic issue. When they were playing it up for jokes at the beginning of the season, and we had that moment with Raina with the fish eyes, that was hilarious. That was cool. But they tried to take that too seriously, and it ended up that was legit melodrama. And so yeah, that was a weak point of the show. But even with that said, that episode was still better than 50% of the episodes that came out this year. That's just how good the show is. But yeah, I'll go point by point with some characters. A lot of people don't like Missouri and Nozumi, and they feel like they're unnecessary characters. And it goes back once again. Go back to my last video. It's not just Kimiko's story. It's the story of the Kiaju high school concert band. It was always about them. Kimiko was just the character that we followed the most. It was the character that we were seeing, experiencing the story from. Wasn't out of breath. Okay, and essentially, it was always about these multiple characters, and a lot of people didn't feel like, these characters coming out of nowhere. Even if you watch the first season, you notice that they're all over the place. But anyway, I feel like a lot of people felt like her situation was unrealistic. No. As somebody who has a lot of issues interacting with people and shyness, that's definitely an issue that I have. Even today, I have issues where, I was on a couple months back, there was a Facebook, there was a guy I was working with a film with, and, he was talking about like, oh yeah, these are all the people who help him, and he forgot about me. And, he just straight up forgot about me, that I was even there. And as somebody who's often, has those feelings, you think about that has a toll on you especially as a young individual. And I went through it in high school. I went through it, in college. I'm still going through it now, where I have moments where I feel like people just forget about me. That was like I even made a point about that in my last Haruhi video. And so her character, I thought her character was completely fine. And it once again it went to that whole theme of like your biggest villains are yourselves, and you have to convive with those issues that you have in order to play as a group. Nozuma, she was just a aspect of building up these fellowships with others, and that kind of leads into Yuko. And like a lot of people hated Yuko last season, and I was telling people Yuko is not a bad person. I was telling people this from day one, and sure enough, now season 2 comes around, everyone's loving Yuko. People are saying that she's their favorite character now. And I never doubted Yuko. I always liked Yuko. She was always one of the more complex characters. And her relationship with Natsuki, and then that scene at the end where she's the president and Natsuki's the vice president, goes perfect. It's like the exact opposite of Haruka and Asuka. Well, Asuka was the eccentric, overzealous type, and Haruka was very reserved. And it's like they switched the roles. It's like almost like Asuka and Haruka planned it, and you can assume that once Kimiko and Reina become third years, that they're gonna be vice president and president as well. Another character, Haruka. One of my biggest problems with season 1 is that Haruka, I felt like she got her character development cut off in the middle. I felt like what was the episode? In episode 10, I felt like, she had that moment where I was like, okay, I got to step up. I got to be president. And she tries to handle the situation, and she gets shut down by Taki Sensei. She doesn't get shut down, but Taki Sensei basically resolves the whole situation. And I said that was kind of disappointing. But in this season, it completely made up for it with her episode, the station concert, where she pretty much comes into her own. She has a whole solo. She leads the band without Asuka, without everything. So her arc was finished her character arc was finished, and that makes the first season better than that fixes the issue I had with the first season. Okay, so yeah, that's what I think about all the characters. Amazing cast of characters this show had. One of my favorite cast of characters of the season in a while. And going back to, and a lot of people are disappointed with the fact that Haizuki and Midori, they pretty much were side characters. But it's like, oh my god, are they even main characters anymore? Listen, when you go on Mail and you see the main character listing on Mail, that doesn't really mean anything. What main character means is that they're the characters that voice the ending theme. That's really all it means. So just because somebody is listed as a main character on Mail doesn't mean they get tons of screen time. So I mean, this is something that I've said for years. So just because it says their main character doesn't necessarily mean they get the most screen time. It's a marketing gimmick, if anything. But yeah, going into that, is the story a narrative mess? You go back to season 1, it ended with Kimiko and Reina. It started with a scene with Kimiko and Reina at the end of their middle school performance. Season 1, the final shot of season 1, or the second to last shot, is them holding hands after winning gold at the Kiaji competition. Go to season 2, it shows Kimiko and Reina at the fireworks festival. End of season 1 is Kimiko telling Asuka that she loves her and that she means a lot to her and she doesn't want to say goodbye. So I understand why people say that at some point the story got a little muddled. But like I said, I'll go back to that scene in the final episode where they're playing the Crescent Star Dance the last time, and you go through every moment. It literally is, the show is taking you through every single moment up to this point, and you see them with the gold medal that they won. And you go back to season 1, and they were talking about how, we won their biggest victory was winning bronze in a prefecture years back. So I'll go back to what I was saying, that it wasn't just about Kimiko and Reina. It was always about all these people. And it still technically is with Kimiko already. She's running back to Reina at the end of that scene. But regardless of that, I get what people are saying, but I still think this season overall did a great job with its storytelling. And it does have flaws, as I pointed out, but I still think it's definitely one of the best shows of the season. Is it my anime of the year? Well, you just have to wait until another video that I'll release within a week. I wanted it out by now, but once again, life, things happen. But yeah, Hibike Euphonium, great show. Tell me what you think about it in the comment sections below. Just a quick apology, because like I said, this is a rambly video. This is just something I wanted to put out. Apologies to anybody who my Haruhi video popped up multiple times in the sub box. I had when I uploaded the video, I got a copyright claim. Now I have no problem getting copyright claims because none of my videos on my channel are monetized. For multiple reasons. One, I'm not gonna, I don't get enough views to make money, regardless. For ads even to show up to make money. And if I did make money, it would be like 5 cents. And ultimately, it'll just be annoyance to my viewers. So I have monetization off on all my videos. The only reason my channel is verified is so I can fight off claims. But, so I get a claim, and it's from this company called Melberries. And I'm like, Melberries? I looked them up. They're a French company. And apparently this is an issue with a lot of shows that they've been having trouble with since 2011, which is when the English dub of Haruhi came out, of the Disappearance of Haruhi came out. And I researched these guys, and as far as I know, they have nothing to do with Haruhi or any other Japanese animation company. So ultimately, this is a company that's just content IDing shows in eating up ad revenue and claiming that they monitor animation for all of France. I'm in America. So I dispute that shit immediately. First I said, so I was like, okay, I'll unlist this video. I'll put audio over the first thing because that's what they claimed was their content. And I re-uploaded, still got the claim. So I was like, okay, fine. I'll dispute the claim. I dispute the claim. The video's up for a day or so, and I check it again, and it says, "Oh, the dispute's been rejected." And I read up, and apparently, they just automatically dispute fair use claims because that's what it is. It's fair use. So I'm like, all right, fine, fuck it. I took the video down, re-upload it without the clip at the beginning, and they tagged the clip at the end, which was never tagged before. So I'm like, oh my god. So I take it. I was like, fine. I'll cut out the clips. I'll completely throw out the narrative that I was trying to tell with the freaking video, and I'll upload it again, and I'll put a better thumbnail on it. And the thing is, I would have disputed it again, but I given that they just automatically disputed it, and I re-upload it. And when you dispute a claim twice, you have three options. You either they'll either dispute it again and they'll say fine, or they'll strike your video and they take it down. And I know how this works. They'll take the video down. I'll dispute that. It'll be gone for 14 days, and then it'll be back, and then they can't do anything because it's a machine. They're not gonna tag. But it's a holiday focused video. I uploaded it on Christmas Day, the first time around. So having it gone for 14 days would have just defeated the purpose. So I was like, all right, fine, whatever. Cut out the clips, re-upload it. So yeah, fuck Melberries. Your company sucks. I hope you go bankrupt. I hope you run out of business. I hope all your employees get fired. Yeah, fuck your Melberries. Yeah, got a little real for a minute there. Apologies, but yeah, if you saw that video, please just go watch it again. Just click on it, click at the end, just so I can get the views back, so YouTube doesn't say, "Oh, it looks like nobody cares about your content. I don't have to advertise your channel anymore." But yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Tell me what you think about Sound of Euphonium Season 2 below. I know this video is a little long, but like I said, this is just me rambling about the show because I wanted to get these things off my chest. Yeah, thanks for watching. Deuces.